Welcome to Digging into the Future. Today we have Michael Moriarty, the Managing Director and President of Disney Resort Hong Kong, joining us here in the studio. Michael, welcome to Digging into the Future.
Thank you, Bill. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Before we jump into sort of some of the digital stuff, which we love talking about here on our show, what's going to be cool about Disney if I take my not so little kids there in Q4 this year when the crowds are coming in? What'll be new and exciting at Disney when we get there?
What we've done most recently is work in Tomorrowland to create the largest Marvel presence in all of Asia. And so the Iron Man experience and Ant-Man and the Wasp are two cornerstones to that. But a year ago, when we celebrated our 15th anniversary, we launched debuted the Castle of Magical Dreams. And essentially, we took the Sleeping Beauty's castle and made it a story about all of the Disney princesses and queens and all of the great diversity that they represent. And it has been so well received. Now, if your boys aren't into the castle itself, they certainly are going to be into our new nighttime spectacular. I can't call it just a fireworks show, Bill. This is absolutely amazing. 5 years in the making. We actually had to start on the show before the castle was completed because it involves digital projection, lasers, fire, and of course fireworks, all coming together to tell a story so big that we're calling it the most magical show on Earth. Momentous.
That sounds like it's going to be an exciting place to visit. Let's talk about digital. One thing I think I didn't necessarily appreciate until recently is that Disney is not just about theme parks. It's also about your digital capabilities, whether it be cable television, movies, and that's almost I think it's almost as big as it's much bigger than the games parks, right? Or it's similar in size.
No, much bigger.
And so talk to me a little bit about what Disney's doing in that space and what can we expect?
Well, one of the I think bigger ideas that Disney has always held on to is to make sure that you understand where your product and stories can be told within the consumer experience. And so it really starts about the consumer itself. And if you would have said, 15, 20 years ago, would people accept seeing a blockbuster movie on their phone or iPad or laptop? You probably would have said no. That had to be a theatrical experience. But consumer preferences change. The audiences change. And so Disney has used technology to bring, like they have, always, to use technology to bring the stories to the consumer in a way, in a place, in a time where they want to see it. And that's where Disney Plus came from. So really born from the consumer experience. And it has, I think, transformed the industry to be one of the largest streaming services in the world. Again, bringing the content and the storytelling to the consumer where they want it.
Yeah, so you think, many people think that unfortunately, some of the original pioneers like Netflix and Amazon will eventually go away, and the actual content owners will become the distributors. I mean, is that what you sort of see happening in the streaming space? The guys that actually create this now become the sort of vertically integrated all the way to the consumer. Is that sort of?
Well, I think if I go back in time, I used to be in mergers and acquisitions and worked with Blockbuster Entertainment. And during that time, we were viewed as a distribution channel, DVDs and VHS tapes. And so we were feverishly trying to buy media companies because we believed at the time content was key. And we merged ultimately with Viacom and Paramount, and to really bring that content together along with the distribution channels. I think what we see right now, whether it is moments like that, where the distribution channel of DVDs and home video kind of move away and bring in the cable box. Content is king. and that you really have to start with great stories, great content, and distribution channels are going to change over time. I think like we've seen, and streaming is where it's at right now. It'll be interesting to see where it goes in the far future, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's an exciting time. Obviously, it's for all of us. Most of our viewers are from the tech space, and obviously we live and breathe this every day, and it's actually what drives most of the revenue streams that we actually we make money from on a daily basis. But talk to me also about, now there's this new terminology called the metaverse, right? And
right.
I mean, what's Disney doing in that space, and have they really kind of started to engage that, or is this too early for them to talk about it?
I think that the metaverse, as it relates to the theme parks, is it's a concept that's in development right now, and at Hong Kong Disneyland, we're trying to think small first, and again, going back to the consumer experience and trying to figure out what would make that better. What models can we put in place that can improve our monetization of those digital assets, et cetera, right? So I'll give you an example, and this is metaverse with a lowercase m. So I mentioned Ant-Man and the Wasp as one of our attractions. But if you think about your journey as a guest, you're walking in Tomorrowland and you see this building with a marquee that says Ant-Man and the Wasp Nano Battle. You're not really sure what it is. You're not really sure what age child can go in it. But what if you were to put up your phone and all of a sudden you see a giant Ant-Man coming in behind the building, resting his foot on top, speaking to you. And then all of a sudden he's telling you the story about what's inside, and then you see the nanobots come outside, and then he calls you in and said, I need your help to fight the nanobots inside. I think that is this combination of physical and digital, which many have coined phygital, right? To create not just the real world experience that's immersive, which is Hallmark Disney theme parks, but combining the digital as well to improve the storytelling, improve the consumer experience.
Yeah, no, I think I think you've got a very good opportunity, and when I look at it from a technology perspective, there's few companies I think that have really kind of looked out ahead and said, "Oh my God, we've got to do that." And I think it seems like you're making a lot of the right steps, both on the infrastructure side and things like theme parks, but also in the digital infrastructure space. It's an amazing thing. And I think one of the great companies, one of the great icons, and one of the companies that actually has morphed its way through 30, 40 years. You look at American companies, the titans of 30 years ago, most of them aren't here now. It's a new group, and Disney has managed through that period.
You mentioned the longevity of the company. It's kept a few things core to its principles. I think great storytelling is one, using technology not for its own sake, but to improve our ability to tell a story. Those two things have been time tested, and next year the Walt Disney Company will be 100 years old.
Yeah.
And we'll be celebrating our platinum anniversary, and so we're all very excited about that, but also very excited about shaping the next 100 years. All of the things that we've talked about, the metaverse, where technology is heading in the future, that is all part of the roadmap for the future.
Yeah, no, I think it's an amazing company, and you look at obviously the shareholders have all benefited from all the greatness, as well as obviously the consumers and the families, which I think is the more important thing, the stakeholders. This has been a tremendous few minutes with Michael Moriarty. We've really enjoyed having you on Digging into the Future, and
it's been great to be here.
We really appreciate your insights on both digital infrastructure, but also on some of the key business themes that we're hearing about here in Hong Kong. So thank you, Michael, and thank you for joining us on Digging into the Future.
All right. Pleasure to be here, Bill. Thank you.